I'm unmuted. Hare Krishna. I hope everyone is well. Everyone doing good. So let's resume back to our session, which is on chapter 3. So we had started chapter 3 and we briefly went through it. Hopefully today we will get further and try to understand Karma Yoga from the purpose of Srila Prabhupada. For that, let's do Mangalacharan, take the blessings from Acharyas, and we shall resume back after that. Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnana-janashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Parmami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripal Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshitarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, Bhaktavrind ki jai, Jai Jai Shri Radhesha. Hare Krishna. Welcome Ishan, Jai, Shivani. And we were talking about Jai this earlier in afternoon. We visited the temple, what we usually do on Sundays. And we met Rohan, whose birthday is today. So he was there in the temple with his family. And Rohan, Jai, and Adi, they play chess together. And they all are great chess players. So we were talking about Jai as well. And Shivani got her form changed. Hopefully by the end of the chapter, she will resume her human form back. Well, let's get into chapter 3. Chapter 3 is all about Karma Yoga. Krishna says to in Bhagavad-Gītā to Arjuna that even me, for himself, even me, if I, so we see here, learn, no, where's that one? The second part, leaders lead by example. And that's where Krishna said that I don't need to do anything, but still I do. Because if I won't do it, people will take my example. And I don't want to give a bad example. I want to give a good example. So that's the reason I also do those things. And this is what we need to learn, that whatever we do in our life, all the actions, all the decisions, all the thoughts, all the speech. So what we think, what we say, and what we do, they all should be based on the wisdom from the scriptures. And if you do that, that's a great thing to be, because then we will make the wise decisions, great decisions. So these are 4 different categories. We did go into detail: renunciation or action. Yoga letter is something we're going to discuss. Lead by example, as we said. And then right at the end, conquering the enemy. And who is our biggest enemy? Now we're going to figure that out. I think we have said it before as well. At the end of chapter 2, Krishna explains to Arjun, but we will see that again today. So this is what we have already seen. Who is liberated? Not the one who is pretending or trying to be meditating, but in his or her thoughts, thinking of something else, somebody else. In our thoughts, if we have Krishna, if we have the devotion, that's what matters. So usually to the kids, we always say, doesn't really matter how many marks you get, how much success you get. What matters is when you put your efforts, when your efforts should be sincere, right? So if there are 2 students, let's say they take the example of maths, and one student, he's only, let's say, 70%. So his 100% is actually 70%, because everyone is different. So the kind of maths he understands, he can't get more than 70%. He's one of those students. But there's another student who could get 100%, because he's brilliant, his mind is brilliant, his brain is great. But when these 2 kids, they come together and they study, then the 70% student whose intellect, the brain power is not great, but his efforts are 100%, right? He tries everything from his side. So that person, that 70% will give 100%, and maybe the 100% child, he has the caliber, but what if he will only give 65% of the efforts? 70% will give 100% and will get 70%. 100% will only give 65% of efforts and let's say get 65. So it's the efforts which matter right at the end, the consciousness. So rather than renunciation, we always say that our thoughts should be pure and clear based on what we do. So never try to pretend somebody else. Always have your thoughts clear. And in Bhagavad-Gītā, following the wisdom in Bhagavad-Gītā, it does help. So I always say, if you haven't already started, start doing chanting. Shivani has been doing chanting for a couple of years, I think. Initially she started on the small beat, and now she's on a bigger beat, and it helps. It does help a lot. So if you haven't, before you go to the school in the morning, in the evening, before you do your prayers or have dinner, it only takes 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes if you do the bigger 108 beats. But even if you have quarter of it, it takes a couple of minutes, not more than that. And even if you don't have the beats, you could just sit there and chant. That's it. Close your eyes, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's it. Even if you could just do once, close your eyes, you just need to do 2 things. First, say that verse, the whole shloka, Mahamantra, and just listen. Just hear, nothing else. There isn't anything else required. Just say it and hear it, and you will see the difference in your life. And this is a part of meditation, chanting meditation. Right? So work that liberates, work that binds. Right? A lot of time we see a lot of people, they work so hard, so hard, but they that hard work is actually the bondage for them. So somebody said, so there are many examples. One of the examples with a great rich dad, when he was dying, there was no one next to him, and he asked somebody that no one came, and the nurse in the hospital said, well, actually your sons and your daughters, so your family members, they were here, but the solicitor called that today is the hearing of the case, because all of them were fighting for the money this old man, their father, is going to leave behind. And he spent all his life earning that money, and his children are fighting for that money. And then he was thinking whether I would have been better off without that money. Of course, there's no guarantee that he would have. That doesn't mean that the fault is in the money, but the fault could have been the usage of the money. How do we use? Maybe he didn't teach his kids how to utilize that money. And it's not the money itself, it's how we use it, right? So that money, which is for the sense gratification, why everyone is fighting for the money? Because they know if they will get it, they might be able to go on a holiday, they can get a bigger house, they can get a bigger car, and they can get so many toys, maybe. So we do need to know that what we do matters, but the consciousness behind it is the main thing. So the work we do, more than the kind of work we do, with what consciousness we do. And that's what we need to be careful for. Right, okay. And yeah, are these here? Great. Adi, I'm sure you would know that today is Rohan's birthday. Yes, Adi knows. Right. We met and we blessed Adi. Sorry, Rohan. This afternoon, he was there in the temple. So it was great to see him. And we were talking about you as well. All the good things about you, Adi. Nice. So we discussed this. We discussed how, if you think about that, everything. So living being, to be alive, we are dependent on food. And we get all the food, or for being the vegetarian, we can say all the food, we eat fruits and vegetables, right? And then of course we have lentils and all, but fruit and vegetables, they are supposed to be the main ingredients of any kind of food we eat. Where do we get fruits and vegetables? We get it from the trees and the plants and the field, but all that vegetation is dependent on the rain. And where do we get from the rain? We get rain from Krishna. Well, we get it, Lord Indra. We get it actually, so rain is water. So we have the Lord of Rain, the demigod of the rain. But the demigod of the rain follows Indra. Indra is the leader of demigods. But Indra gets his powers from Lord Krishna, like he confirmed at the end of Govardhan Hill incident. You might remember that pastime where everyone was giving everything, offering the yajnas, saying in the form of gratitude for Indra. And then Krishna came around. Krishna said, no, we should give it to Govardhan Hill because we are Gopala, which means we are dependent on cows, and cows get there. So because they get everything from cows, and the cows, they eat grass. From where? From the trees. Well, from the plants, from the shrubs, or in the forest. And those forests was, that time, the main was the Govardhan Hill. So all the Gopalas, cowherd boys, they used to take the calves and the cows on the top of Govardhan Hill. That's why we should pray to Govardhan Hill. We should offer this to Govardhan Hill. And then Indra got so mad. And then Indra started fighting. But right at the end, when Indra realized that, oops, I didn't realize that this little boy is actually Krishna. And Krishna is the source of my power. So he comes around, and then there was a conversation in between, and at the end, And then in between that conversation, he says, sorry, I forgot that you were the source of my power. I was what we call false ego. And this is what we all do. This is what we all do. When we get intelligence, we say, wow, I did it. I passed 11 plus, right? I got the best school. But we forget that who has given that intelligence to us? Well, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hriday sarnevishto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha jnana, I have them. Then 15.7, Mame Vamsho Jiva Loka, like everyone is Amsha of mine. So we get it from Krishna, right? So that's what we discussed last time, right? And then moving forward, this is where we were, and we can see very nice, very dedicated devotee who is offering the food to Krishna. And this is what we all should do. If we don't do already, we should start doing it. Anything, it's not only the food. So in our household, whatever we get, it could be a new laptop, it could be a new phone, it could be new clothes, even new shoes, we offer to Krishna. We offer to Krishna. Krishna, thank you so much. Not only that you have given us the money to buy it, but you have given us the privilege that we can use that money. Because a lot of people, they have the money, but they can't buy it. For example, let's say somebody would love to wear the sportswear, but the body is such that the person can't play sports. So there was a little boy I met once. He loved football, but because he had heart problem, he could not run. And of course, based on his previous karma, he could not run. And even though those shoes were there with him, he never wore them. I said, oh, you could still wear. He said, no, then I will feel even more painful. But I'm wearing it and I can't walk. So I have it. My dad bought it for me, but I don't use them. So not only that, the parents got enough money from the intelligence Krishna has given, but Krishna has given us such a healthy body that we can utilize those gifts, right? Let's say you will give something like a new game to someone and the child doesn't know how to use it. And there was a great story about it. So what happened once, the diamonds, if you know, they are natural elements. Diamond is so Arden is doing chemistry these days, so I'm looking for the correct word. Diamond is not an element, actually. Diamond is made up of carbon. Carbon is the element. But what happens? Yeah, but what happens? Carbon, and of course a lot of other things made up of carbons, when they are under pressure, high heat for many, many years, then it converts. Then of course it could be coal and there are many other things in between, but then naturally the products inside the earth could transform themselves into a diamond or many diamonds. So there was a guy who was a gardener, and he was there in his house doing something, and he found one of the diamonds. He didn't know what that was. So he thought that it's shining. So he went to the nearby jewelry shop. And the jewelry shop, that was a small village. And the jewelry shop said, wow, amazing. He said, even if I sell everything I have, I cannot give you the money which is good enough for this diamond. You should go to the nearby town. So this guy, he went to the town. And when the town, town is a bit bigger than village. And when the town jeweler saw it, he said something very similar. He said, in my shop, if I put together all the jewelry, it might not be even a fraction of what this is. And I say, you should go to the nearby city. And then this person went to the city. And the city person, the city jeweler, said exactly the same thing. He said that I don't have enough money to give you. And even if I were able to buy from you somehow, I don't know who else could buy from me. And then this jeweler thought, this gardener thought, well, what's the use of this stone if nobody could give me money for it? And then he went to, so like in Delhi, there is a place where we go, I don't know if it's still there. I hope it's still there. It's used to call Pragati Maidan. And that's a international fair happens there. So not only the national, all the states, they come, but international people also come there. And then he took that diamond there. He thought, I will find some kind of buyer. And then there was like a king who was there. And when he saw it, he said that I don't have enough money to give you for this diamond. And then the gardener thought, what? Even you don't have it? He said, you are much more richer than me just because you have this. And the gardener thought, really? Yes. But then gardener thought the same thing again. What was the use of this diamond if nobody could buy it? Right? And this is how our wisdom is. Wisdom, the cleverness we have. What's the point of having wisdom if we cannot employ them somewhere? Right? So if we can employ those in the service of Krishna and the devotees, then those skills are rewarded. So what the king said, I cannot give you enough money in turn of it, but what I can do is that if you will give this to me, I promise whatever you need in your life, whenever you need in your life, I will give it to you. And he was a simple gardener. He said, okay, that works for me. You take this diamond, and I got a small house in the village that needs some maintenance. Could you do that, please? And if every month you can give me so much money, so I know that I can live happily with my family. And king said, sure, anything else you need? He said, no, that's it. Because he was a simple gardener, he didn't need anything more. And the farmer lived happily after. Right? Ever after. Happily ever after. Aryan is correcting me. Right? So if you think about it, that when we offer, we can't really get things back in return. But when we offer things, then we get a lot more in return. And anyways, devotees, they don't ask for it. So there was another story where there is a guy, he was not in Krishna consciousness, he was not in spirituality. And one day, somehow it happened that there were some flowers. He got angry on someone and he threw the flowers. When he threw the flowers, by mistake, he threw the flowers on deities. So the deities were there and he threw there. So it didn't go on the deities, it went next to the deities, on the feet of deities, like we offer to Krishna. And the deities accepted it. The deities accepted those flowers. And what happened then? So when he died, when anyone dies, then Yamdut, they come. Yam is Yamraj, Dut the messenger. So messenger of death, messenger of Yamraj comes. And then messenger of Yamraj were taking the soul of this person from the body. And that time, Vishnu Dut, they came. And they said, you can't do that. So what do you mean? They said, well, this guy offered flowers to Krishna. And the Yamdut said, but he was angry that time. They said, it doesn't matter because Krishna accepted it. He said, wow. So at that time, so somebody, he had heard it. Actually, Narad Muni came at some point. Narad Muni said, and when he offered or he threw the flowers to Krishna, Krishna accepted it. Narad Muni came. And Narad Muni said, Narayan, Narayan, and said that, see, what you did is a great thing. He said, what did I do? He said, you offered to Krishna. And then he said, oh yeah, okay, well, that was not the intention, but if Krishna accepted it, thank you so much. Then Naradji said, let's see, this is a great thing which you have done. Because in Bhagavad-Gītā, Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Like, even if anyone offers me a leaf, flower, water, I accept it. The only thing is that you should have the consciousness, and you should not. Excuse me. That you should not ask anything in return. So don't ask anything in return if anyone will offer. And have you heard of this story, Ari?
I don't think so.
All right. So at that time, so Narad Muniji had told that what you have done is a great deed. Don't don't accept anything in return, and don't desire anything in return. That, oh, Krishna, because a lot of times, or most of the time, this is what happens. Somebody offers something to Krishna, Krishna accepts it, and then we say, oh, Krishna, could you please do that? Could you please pass me in the exam? Could you please persuade my mom to cook that pizza for me, or ask my dad to get me a new iPhone and all? So that's it. Krishna says, yeah, tathastu. And then that deed is finished, because we have exchanged it. We did a trade with Krishna. So Narad Muniji had explained to him, never ever ask for anything in return of what you have offered. Otherwise, it's not a devotional service, because you have given something to Krishna not out of love, but as a trade. So he, at the time of death, when Yamdut and Vishnudut, they were discussing, then Yamdut said, okay, no worries. He did that to Krishna. Krishna accepted. Good job. We will offer him something. And then they asked his soul, what do you want in return? Do you want to go to heaven for 10 years? And he thought that's a great idea. But then he remembered what Narad Muni said. And he said, no, I don't want it. And Yamdut could not think of anything. And they said, okay, come to Yamraj. He's our leader. He will figure out something. So Yamdut took that soul to Yamraj, and Yamraj offered many other things. Yamraj said, okay, tell you what, you are supposed to be here in hell for 100 years. If you will say, oh, I will reduce it, and you only need to be here 1 year. Is that good enough? And he thought, wow, 100 years I was supposed to be here, and you will reduce that to 1 year. You could do it? He said, well, tell you what, I'm the leader here. I can do anything. And he was so tempted to say, yes. But then again, he thought of it. He said, no. Narad Muniji said, don't accept anything. No, I can't accept anything in return of what I offer to Krishna. I said, well, we need to equate that. That's a good thing. That's one thing, one action. And against that, you haven't got anything. For your good deeds, you're going to enjoy in heaven. For your bad deeds, you're supposed to be here. So all deeds are finished. But this particular deed, you didn't accept anything in return. You need to. He said, no, I don't want to. And then Narad Muni said, okay, tell you what, let's go and meet Brahmaji. They went to Brahmaji. And then Brahmaji is like Brahmlok, topmost place in the material world. Brahmaji offered him very great thing. Brahmaji said, okay, guess what? In the material world, I'm the topmost. I'm the father of everyone, right? Now, I'm supposed to live for 100 years. How about I give you rest of my life? I give you rest of my life. Brahmaji's 1 day is equivalent to ours, I think 4.13 billion years. 1 day is equal to 4.13 billion Earth years. I think it's a bit more than that, but roughly. So he thought, wow, I'm going to live that long as Brahma, which means all the demigods, they are going to come and they're going to ask me, and I'm the one, everybody is going to do the penance. I'm the one who will go and give the boons. Yeah. And then he had almost said yes. But then he said, no, 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 no. I can't accept this against those flowers I offer to Krishna. And then Brahmaji said, well, I can't give you more than that. I'm giving you rest of my life. And I'm the topmost in material world. What else do you want? He said, I don't want anything. He said, well, I can't give you anything. Let's go to Lord Shiva. Now, Lord Shiva lives on top of Kailash, and that's a bit bigger place. And so Lord Shiva is a bit higher authority than Lord Brahma. And then they went to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva said, see, Brahma is material, right? And he looks after material world, but I'm spiritual. I will give you all the spiritual powers. I will give you all the 3 worlds. I will give you everything I have, right? You enjoy your rest of your life. And now this was very attractive, because not only material, because material is going to end, but spiritual never ends. But then again, he thought, let me resist it. Because every time he's resisting, his reward is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And he said, no. And Shivji said, well, in my life, never ever it happened that I gave something to someone and that person didn't accept. And I'm giving everything to you, and you're saying no. Do you know what does that mean? He said, yeah, but I can't accept it. No, Narad Muniji said, no, I should not. And Lord Shiva thought, oh, I never thought I will do this. Everybody thought, whoa, 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 what are you going to do? He said, well, let's go to Vishnu Bhagwan's place. And then they all, so Yamraj, Brahma, Lord Shiva, they all went to Vishnu. And Vishnu offered him a lot more. And he still didn't accept. And then Lord Brahma, because Lord Brahma is the head of all the material world, and this soul was material at that time, or the body was still there. And Lord Brahma said, what will happen? What he can get in return of that? And Vishnu said, what do you think? With his soul, he's here in Vaikuntha, in spiritual dham. Nobody could do that. What else you think he could get it? He got everything, anyone could get it. And then that person was so happy. He got the devotion, but not against that. Krishna, Vishnu gave that as the mercy. That because what you have given, and of course, then he could understand that the flowers, even with the not good intentions, I threw towards Krishna, Krishna accepted it, and because of that, I got so much. Now, how much more I could get or we can get, not that we want, but how much. And we can see our parents. We don't even need to ask things from the parents. Parents give. Of course, when we ask for those things which we are not supposed to, then it's a different thing. But what we can understand from this story and from the previous story, that when we offer something to Krishna and when we keep doing our work, then that's what we call karma yoga. Because that yoga, if you remember, we said material and spiritual come together. The body and the spirit come together. The soul comes together. We, Mamevamsha Jiva Loka, we are part and parcel of Krishna. We get the realization of Krishna. When all these things come together, that's a yoga, right? That's the union of two. And when that happens, that's the most beautiful feeling, because it's not material. It's not the material happiness, which is dependent on external. It's the internal bliss, which doesn't need anything from outside. Right? So with that, remember the consciousness we have, whatever we do. Ooh, right. So with that, let's discuss this. Now so currently, if you remember, we are doing the overview, but this is very detailed, very, very detailed. Let me tell you briefly what it is, and we still have some time. Great. Now, the whole Bhagavad-Gītā could be explained in this one slide. Now, this slide is split into 3 different topics or the headings. The first one, the express elevator of Bhakti Yoga. Then the middle one, progressive yoga ladder. This is extended yoga ladder. Right? So if we think about it, let's say if we start from the right and we will go towards left. So first we are going to look for extended yoga ladder. We can look for the progressive as well, but let's do from the right to left and then from bottom to top. So first thing, we are going to look after this, the end mill. Right? Now we have discussed in the past that animal life and human life was the main difference. If we are only doing 4 things, which is eating, feeding, sleeping, defending, and mating, doing the children, then we are as simple as animals. Because this is what Shastra says. If you're only doing these 4 things, right? Now you can think of what you're doing, you can think of the family, you can think of the friends, you can think of everybody else in the world. If you are only eating, sleeping, defending, which means we have made a good house, because in the summer, well, summer is nice here, we can go out, but in the winter will not trouble us. The rain will not fall on us, on the family members. We all are protected by the house. That's called defending. And then mating, which is like we, being humans, we always give birth, and the new baby comes, that baby gets grown up. And so there's a beautiful verse in Bhagavad-Gītā which says, Dehino asmi adadehi komaram yovanam. So from infant to the baby, to the young person, to the old person, and the person dies again. The soul remains the same, the body changes. And if you think about it, this is what we're saying, so we do all these 4 things, but if we only do these 4 things, we human are as good as animal, right? So that's what else we need to do? We need to do
Inquiry.
Aryan says we need to do inquiry. That's in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 10. The purpose of the life is to inquire. And that's so true. So the next thing we do, Karma Kanda. That's the gradual progression. The humans, if we are not only living our life as animal life, like only doing these 4 things, we are at the level of Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda, where we do things, and we expect things back in return. So we do the yajna, and then because Indra will become happy, right? That's Karma Kanda, and there are many more Karma Kanda. We do the rites and rituals, and they all comes into Karma Kanda. Then we have Sakama. So this is also, we can just say Karma Yoga, but Sakama, Sa is positive. So Sakama is where we do positive, means good karma. We give the donations, we help someone physically, but we also expect something in return. If we have given the donation, that person should publicize everyone. So like we visited the temple, and those who donated, they have their names written in big. Now, not that all of them they want it, but some of them they do want. And there was another devotee who said, I will give 10,000 pounds, but my name should be written there in the bold at one particular place in the temple. And the temple authority said, well, we can put somewhere else, but not there. And they argued for long for that. So he wanted to give. So what he was giving, he was offering the donation to the temple, which was a good thing, but he wanted something in return. That's Sakama. He was doing the good karma, but he was requesting something in return. But when we do NKY, remember, Nishkama Karma Yoga, When we do Nishkam Karma Yoga, we just do things because this is our duty, right? So we are students, we study. So we don't, when let's say the maths is one of the favorite subjects we study, we don't do the maths because in our mind we are thinking, oh, end of the year exam is coming and I need to pass that. Of course, we need to pass that. We need to excel it. We need to get 100%. Yeah, we can't get more than 100, can we? I remember when I was a student, one of our maths teacher, he used to give more than 100 because sometimes you can give two different options. It happens in algebra that you can, because you can give plus and you can give minus as well. So more than two on more than the required answers will come, and he used to give more. But in general, you get 100%, right? And we should try our 100%. Not that we are satisfied, oh, well, 70% or 80% or 90%. No, being the student, we should never stop learning, right? That's our prescribed duty. Not to gain something, not to get first, not that, oh, well, the person who's going to come second is only going to get 80. I'm pretty sure going to get 90. So I don't really need to study anymore. It's okay. No, because it's not the point of getting first, second, or any rank. The idea is to learn. We should always and always try to learn. And a lot of times, for example, if Aryan has done his end of year, but Rohan is doing end of year exam coming week. Yeah. So Aryan might say, oh, well, I've given end of year exams. Why do I need to study? There are like 2-3 weeks left. Why do I need to study maths or any other subjects now? Because end of year exams are done. Whatever I study now doesn't really matter, does it? Of course it does. Of course it does. Because that learning is forever. It's not only for this year. So we are laying the foundations. So when we do things for considering that this is our prescribed duty, that's what we call NKY. So when Arjun initially was saying to Krishna, Krishna, with whom I will enjoy, everyone will fight. He was thinking of the enjoyment. But then Krishna said, well, don't fight to enjoy. Fight because you are a Kshatriya. It's your prescribed duty. It's your dharma to fight and save those who need protection. Because currently Duryodhana is the prince. And Duryodhana is doing bad things to the people. And they have come to you for protection. So you need to kill the bad people so you can protect, because you are Kshatriyas. You're Kshatriya. This is your prescribed duty. So you should not fight the battle or the war because thinking what you're going to get after that and I'm going to enjoy after that. No. But because this is my duty, I need to do that. That's what we call Nishkam Karma Yoga, NKY. Gyan Yoga, and we will see this Gyan Yoga last 6 chapters. But Gyana, now a lot of times Gyana from Sanskrit to Hindi, it goes, we start from G-Y-A-N-A sometimes. But this is, so knowledge. So it's actually pronounced Jnana, Ja. But well, it's familiar. It's Gyana. But the spelling is this. So this is Gyana, right? The way we should pronounce actually Jnana. I discussed with a Sanskrit teacher from Delhi University who still teaches. And I did a course with him, first level of Sanskrit last year. And I asked him, and he said, yes, it's actually, if you go by the grammatical rules, we should call it Jnana. But if you say Jnana, nobody will understand because now everyone speaks as Jnana. So that's the reason he said, even I call it Jnana now for others to understand. Otherwise, it's actually Jnana. But Jnana Yoga, the full of knowledge. This is basically where we do a lot of meditation. We study Upanishads. So Swami Vivekananda, he falls into this category. Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Paramhansa Yogananda ji. They all great learners, they fall into Jnana Yoga category. Then of course we have Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga yogis are those who usually, not necessary, but who usually leave everything and they and this is what we are going to learn in chapter 6 of Bhagavad-Gītā. They work on themselves in solitude. So Gyan Yogi reached to the level of what we call Brahman realization. Brahman realization, BR. So they realize that Krishna is part of them. They realize that they are soul. They are spiritual, not material. And everything, any and everything, single most thing which is important for them, they think of themselves as a spiritual. That's why they will never do corruption. They will never do anything wrong. They will not lie. They will not fight. They will not have any bad feeling. They will not have greed, lust, any of kind of desire, because now they are at the platform of fully spirit soul, not for the body. And they are called Gyanis. Great. This is all spiritual, but they are Brahman realized. Right? Ashtang yogis are who realize the next level. That's Paramatma. Not only that they are spiritual, but everyone around them is spiritual. They can see Krishna in everything. And so Surdas ji was one of them. So Surdas ji, he was blind. But when somebody said, oh, you're blind, how could you see Krishna? And he used to talk to Krishna. Like I can talk to Adi now, I can see. He said, Krishna is here. And if you think of, Prahlad Maharaj, he was a little boy. He was not Ashtanga Yogi, but he had a similar faith. Because when his father said that, where is Vishnu? You say Vishnu is everywhere. Where is he? And he said, well, where is he? He's not. He's everywhere. And then he looked at the pillar and said, do you think he's in the pillar? Well, of course, he's everywhere. Then why not in pillar? He's there in pillar as well. And then when he broke the pillar, Narasimhadev came out. Yeah. So when the devotee is able to see Krishna everywhere. So Jnana Yogi, the focus is on himself or herself, that I am spirit soul. But Ashtang Yogi can see Paramatma, not only himself or herself, but everywhere around. Right? Bhakti Yogi. After that, so this is what we call extended yoga ladder, and we will see. So not necessarily we need to go through all these steps, and that's why it's called ladder. You know, the ladder, we have different rungs. So you go first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, to reach to the top level. We don't have to follow this. But today we have discussed, this is what usually people do, but we don't really have to do it to reach to the Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is where Jnana and Ashtanga, so all the outcomes, not necessarily you have read everything. So Mirabai was in Bhakti Yoga. Of course, Surdas ji could also be in there, because Surdas ji didn't do any Ashtanga Yoga. So Surdas ji could be considered as Bhakti Yoga. But there are many more. All the gopis we consider in Vrindavan. If you go to Vrindavan Vasis, they don't read. So they don't read the scriptures. They don't do any meditation, any Ashtanga. We will see in chapter 6, Ashtanga is not only the yoga, what we know, that's a part of it. But they don't work on their bodies as such. But they are in Bhakti Yoga, which means they are always in Krishna consciousness. Their consciousness is in devotion. And when you do that, then everything underneath is part of it. So you get the benefit of Ashtanga Yoga, you get the benefit of Jnana Yoga. And this is a very extended. If we say, okay, for 5 years I will do this, 5 years I will do that, 5 years I will do that, then maybe 10 years I will do that, 10 years I will do that, and then I will reach to the Bhakti Yogi. Not necessary, because we don't know at which platform we will spend how much time. So a lot of time, especially here, Jnana Yoga, once people are there, they spend the rest of their life there. Ashtanga Yogi, very, very, very rare, especially these days. There are some, but it's very, because Jnana Yogi could read the scriptures, could try to understand it, could discuss it, could find a spiritual master. Ashtanga Yogi is very physical, because from the body, we are going from the gross body, we are going to the subtle mind, where the consciousness is. And then, and anyways, right at the end, Ashtanga Yogi and Gyan Yogi, if they are successful achieving what they are supposed to, they will end up in Bhakti Yoga. They will start doing devotional service. If you see Vivekananda, he put together Ram Krishna Mission. So Ram Krishna Mission is still there. But what do? Devotional service. So they help others. Why? A lot of time they open the charities. Paramahansa Yogananji also did. There are many, many examples. Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji, Nityananda. Well, there are a lot of examples there. They all end up in Bhakti Yoga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji, the Lord himself. And there's a nice story. We don't have, only 4 minutes left. There was a story I had with me, and I thought we might discuss that. We don't have time for that. There's a very nice festival going on. But let's discuss that because I wanted to have a read with you all. Rather than me telling you, we will read a web page with the pictures and all, so we can understand. It's a great incident, the past time which has happened. And I will tell you a different story though. So that story, that festival, it's called Pan Hati. The way we pronounce could be different. Pan Hati, and I will explain next week what does that mean, the wordings. But if you think about a different story, in this, I might have shared it in the past. There was a mouse. Now what the mouse did? Mouse was, like usually happen, mouse was running, crying for his life because the cat was after him. And there was a sage who was doing meditation, and this was in the jungle. So like Ashtanga Yogi, right? Left everything, working on himself, on his body, just meditating. And he saw, a mouse trying to save his life from the cat. So he felt very compassionate, and he had so much power in him. He did some mantras, and boom, the mouse changed into cat. And then cat wasn't chasing the cat. But then the other day, the dog started chasing the cat. And what you would think? Well, once mouse realized that this sage could help me, that mouse who has changed into cat went back to the sage, and sage thought, what? Dog? All right, here we go. And the cat transformed into a dog. And then next day, as you could imagine, a fox was running after the dog. And then the Ashtanga Yogi said, oh Krishna, let's help this poor rat who transformed into cat and now in dog. Let's make him a fox. And then fox and fox are okay. Until next day, when fox was running for his life because the lion was there behind him. And then somehow that fox left the lion behind and reached to this sage, and sage could see, all right, okay. So today you managed to save your life from lion, but you're scared that maybe tomorrow that lion will get you. Guess what? I will make you the lion. But as soon as he made that mouse, cat, to the dog, to the fox, into the lion, what could you imagine? Lion looked at the sage. It's such a great intensity that the sage thought, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you looking at me? Are you going to eat me? And the lion smiled. And then before lion could, so lion actually pounced on the sage. But lion was in the air, was about to land on the sage, and sage took his water and said in Sanskrit, Punaha mushka bhavati, which means you turn back into a mouse again. And then instead of lion, that mouse fell on the sage. And then poor mouse was back in his mouse life. So what does that say? That says the mentality of the animal life. Mentality of the animal life, no gratitude at all. But all that starts is when we get that. When we have the gratitude. So whoever in the life will do something for you, then please express your gratitude. Right? Starts from your family members, your cousins, your siblings. Right? And then next week when we meet, I will tell you about this festival and we will discuss the rest 2 categories, and I will find out a few more examples, analogies. And I think Aaron and Shivani, they wanted to do some plays as well based on the yoga. So we will discuss that as well. All right. Thank you so much for your association. If anyone has any questions, any comments, or any corrections, and feel free to share now, or you can always contact me at any time on WhatsApp group, or you got my number, feel free to get in touch. But thank you so much for your association. I look forward to see you next Sunday, 6 p.m. With that, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, Samved Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare. All the blessings for you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Jai. Hare Krishna.